Right, here we go. Preparing launch control. Here we go. Oh,
that is unreal. So try that now, just in first. Just go. Yeah, that's it.
Well, there you go, guys. We've just learned something.
Ah.
I've had one of these for 3 months at home.
Are you
manual.
serious?
I didn't know that it had launch control. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to a video where I'm going to put the G87 M2 versus the M3 CS. I'm going to do it with my good friend Paul Marrick. We've had a lot of fun and a lot of giggles earlier on today. So
if you want to see Joe cheating, just head over to our channel. The results are still under investigation by the stewards.
We've got a sore loser here somewhere. I'm not going to make it obvious or point out who that is. G87 M2 hasn't been around for long. Controversial looks, nowhere near as pretty as the F87, but it's what goes on underneath the skin, as with many and most M cars, is really what's most important, because the sort of customer for an M2 is a punchy sort of customer who likes their driving or ultimate driving machine. This particular one's a manual, 3 litre, straight six, twin turbo. You're going to say kilowatts, aren't you?
Yeah. I don't even know how many there are, but there are lots.
There's lots of kilowatts.
And then there's how many horsepower?
460 horsepower.
That's a lot.
And 550 newton meters. In the UK, they start about £65,000. Over here, they're about 130.
So it's pretty much the same price. If you look at the conversion rate of those currencies, it's about the same.
It is. And I found that on this trip, that actually, unless you go up, once you get up to M5s and the bigger cars, that's when the price difference grows. But with the smaller stuff, it's actually pretty much the same with today's exchange rate.
Well, we have in Australia what's called the luxury car tax, which is applied above around $90,000, and then every dollar on top of that is taxed. And then if you're from Victoria, which is the brokest state in the world, we have an additional stamp duty applied on cars above $100,000. So
lovely.
I think that's why there's a bigger disparity when you get to the higher price cars, because you have more luxury car tax and more of that additional revenue raising going on.
And let's move on to the wonderful G80 M3 CS. Yeah, so if you see just like a non-CS and it's just frozen white, I don't think it actually suits the saloon. But adding a bit of, obviously you got carbon roof, you got the carbon bonnet, it just adds so much. The CSL style grills. Under the skin, well, it actually shares a lot of componentry to the M2. So we've got the same S58, which is a 3 litre straight six, twin turbo, but instead of producing 460 horsepower, it produces 550, so nearly 100 extra horsepower. And it also produces 100 extra newton meters of torque, so 650 newton meters. This has got the ZF 8-speed automatic gearbox. The M2 is rear-wheel drive only. This has got...
Oh, it's all-wheel drive, but I love the fact that you can also make it rear-wheel drive, because that's the ultimate combo. You can have your all-wheel drive for track driving and for going fast, having that traction, but then if you do want to hit things with pool noodles, like we were doing this morning, then you stick it in rear-wheel drive modes.
But in today's video, it's not going to be massively scientific, but it's very rare that I get to jump between two of these cars back to back. And I think that's really important, because you've got the muscle memory, also allowing us to play around on a bit of private land. I think we should maybe jump in the M3 CS first and see what the benchmark is, see how good it feels. And then maybe we'll jump into the M2 and see if there is a noticeable difference, because remember, 65,000 pounds, 120,000 pounds ish. So nearly twice the money back home in the UK. What do I do if I press that button?
I wouldn't do that. Sounds good, doesn't it?
It does. Well, it sounds better than the ones we get in the UK.
Really?
Because you don't have OPF filters out here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Australia's finally good for something.
It is.
We're not as sustainable as the UK.
Oh, that lovely word. I love sustainable.
This used to be the Holden proving ground, where they did basically all of the Holden models since the 1950s. And today it's owned by a Vietnamese company called VinFast. But predominantly it's all the same. So you're getting the same ride and handling characteristics that you had with some of the best Australian cars ever made, which I know you guys got as Vauxhalls and that sort of stuff.
We actually got the Vauxhall Monaro for a little bit of time.
So yeah, we're going to go onto the ride and handling track, and this thing is absolutely unreal, because it's representative of an Australian road. It has, it's very tight, it has no room for error, and there are parts of it that have different friction levels as well. So just keep that in mind.
Perfect. And I've never been around here before, apart from I was a passenger with you in a, what were we in?
Oh, it was a Outlander plug-in hybrid.
Sustainable.
Yes.
Yeah, nice. Let's just play around the settings.
Yep.
So engine sport, chassis sport, I think it's about right.
Yep.
Bit of suppleness there. We'll put brake in sport just in case I need it. And then traction, you just leave it on around here?
You can see it in MDM. I think
Yeah.
that'd give you a bit of a feel.
So, what? You're gonna give me a bit of a feel? There we go.
Only because you've been so nice to me.
Right. Okay. Left here.
Yeah, left here.
All right. Let's give it a go. Oh, let's put it into manual as well.
Yep.
There we go. Whoa, we're on cold cups, aren't we? So this is on Cup 2s, just for reference, whereas the M2 is on PS4Ss. But really, once we've got temperature in them both, I think they're going to be pretty similar around here.
One thing I thought I'd mention as well is there's lots of kangaroos too.
Okay, right, so we've got to watch out for those. Yeah.
They're highly unpredictable, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So yes. So this is one of those corners. So mid-corner you have a different friction level. So it's not too bad when the vehicle is dry, tires are warm, but when it's wet, it is diabolically bad.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it's an awesome track, and I love it. We test every car back to back here.
Yep.
And you can see here with this, it is so taut. It is just hugging the road beautifully.
It's amazing. It's firm, but it's fluid, isn't it? It's
And
not
the
like
noise. It is so loud in here.
It's so loud in here. Is this another slippery
you got
corner?
another friction change just here.
Yeah.
There you go. So you can just feel it pushes it ever so slightly wide. We've got tram tracks here, kangaroo off the side.
Nice. It just feels epic, this car, doesn't it?
The steering, the brakes.
Yep.
Like a BMW's M Division. I know you're biased because you're a BMW man, but it is absolutely unreal.
It's just so dialed in. And so fast. We can't talk about speeds because there is a limit here, isn't there? So I won't say that it's 200. I won't say that we just did 210 down there because we didn't.
That did not happen. It was 210 Japanese yen. Now this part here is interesting. So we've got what we call the sine waves here.
Okay.
I attack these at 130 in every car. It's representative of maximum speed in Australia.
Yep.
And it's designed to unsettle the car and give us an idea of body control. You can see there, this thing is dead flat.
Absolutely.
It is so impressive.
Wow.
So impressive.
Okay, and then a few bumps there.
Yeah, a little bit of bumping there as well.
It's just so sure-footed. That's my first and only lap ever around there.
Yep.
And I never felt scared or worried. You could feel most of what's going on underneath you. I think one thing where modern M cars lack, and I do talk about it a lot on my channel, is ultimate steering feel. It's a little bit dead, but you still know what's going on. I think these seats help a lot because, like a go-kart, we're going go-karting in a couple of days. I'm going to beat you in that as well.
Unlikely.
In a go-kart, you feel everything through the seat of your pants, don't you? And I think these seats, I've said that again on my videos, they actually give you a lot we feeling. They bring feeling into the car and into your body. There's a wet skid pad in front of us.
Would you look at that?
Should we do some skids?
Yes, yeah. I reckon go to rear-wheel drive.
Yep.
Because what I'm interested to see here, this wheelbase is longer than the M2.
Yep.
I'll be interested to see what the difference is between the two when it comes to these types of conditions.
Yes.
You have no M traction control either, so we're also going to see how Joe is at this.
Yeah, let's see if we can score a 5-star rating.
Okay. There it is. Oh, that's the lock stops as well. I think we may have. Let's have a look at that. 29.5.
Yeah, but
that's not too bad.
I've seen bigger numbers than that. Maybe from you
mainly from
on.
me, but that's okay. 29.5 is still pretty good.
Yeah. Okay. I thought it'd be rude not to just do a quick 0 to 60 comparison, or 0 to 100 Ks as you call it over here. So let me get the race box running. Right. So I think. Yeah, that's ready to go.
All right,
you can be my handy assistant.
Timing biatch. So
let's put it into setup, Sport Plus. Let's put the chassis into comfort so it squats a little bit, and full four-wheel drive.
Yep.
Traction off. I'm sure that's the quickest I've had.
Yep.
Right, here we go. Preparing launch control. Here we go.
Oh, that is unreal. Holy crap!
What time?
3.14.
Oh, okay. That's not bad. I've done a
That-
299 in one of these
That
before.
is unreal. I was not expecting
Wasn't
that.
it nuts? Right, let's see if we can go any quicker this time. 3.2. Okay,
And that was without launch control.
Yes.
So 3.14 versus 3.2.
Yep.
It's not a huge difference, is there?
No.
That's crazy. So, this is the interesting thing, right? In four-wheel drive sport with the XM,
Yep.
it would keep cutting in, whereas that was quite happy to just keep going then without
Oh
any
yeah.
dramas.
I think in these, when everything is off, DSC off, it's definitely off, right? There was nothing intervening there.
Yeah, right. Well, there you go. 3.2 and then 3.14. That is quick.
Not bad. Let's jump in the
Perfect.
cheaper one.
The money saver.
What's
Look at that thing.
What is it?
I don't know. It looks like a paperweight.
You almost said something else there.
Yeah, I was being very nice to your followers.
We've got the same setup menu in the M2. In fact, we've got the same curve display. It feels pretty much the same
Yep.
wheel, although the CS has got Alcantara. But let's go engine sport, chassis sport, because you get adaptive suspension in this, whereas you didn't in the previous M2. Steering sport, brake sport again, and then
Now, I was
MDF.
curious to see you've left gear shift assistant on.
I guess it depends.
It's one of those things
when I'm
you
on
think about.
track, no,
Yep.
because
Well, why?
Because when I'm really aggressively driving, I'm then aggressively using my feet. When I'm just cruising around like we are today, I just like the gear shift assist.
I actually like it as well. It's not something I'd ever admit to in public, but yeah, it's one of those things. It's one less thing to think about, right?
It is.
You know what I mean?
I think also what people have got to remember is you and I, we're in cars sometimes in really unfamiliar places, unfamiliar cars, and we're trying to talk to camera.
That is so true.
I'm terrible at multitasking at the best of times, so trying to do everything. If you got, and these days they're much better. These shift assist. You know, the Porsche ones are brilliant as well. Right, well let's get move on. The first thing I noticed, I put my foot down. It's fast, but it's nothing like that.
And it's also not as sharp. I find with this, even when it is in the sport or sport plus setting, it still feels a little bit doughy. The throttle, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like it's not as sort of bitey.
It's not, and it feels a bit firmer in here, even though we're on the same setting. But more jarring, not as the bumps are harsher. They're not as rounded off, if that makes sense.
Yeah, in the other car they were really quite rounded layout. It's a weird thing to describe, isn't it?
It is.
This is still remarkably quick for a small car.
It's an absolute pocket rocket, and I think arguably on the road you're probably going to have more fun in this car at normal speeds because it feels a bit more on the limit everywhere. The shorter wheelbase, definitely a bit snappier.
Watch him.
Oh. Kangaroo and that.
Them, I probably shouldn't assume.
Them, yes.
But yeah, they are so darty. A couple of times we've been out here and they will just dive out in front of the car and it's like, well, I don't need you to do that, bud.
Wow.
Echidna down there.
Yeah, I saw that. It's like this is like an episode of, I don't know, some wildlife program.
But this is, on the back straight here, definitely not as pulley.
I mean, it's about 20k down on the CS, and you could feel it, couldn't you? It's not. So now we're coming up to these.
I'll be interested to see what it does.
Tests.
Yeah, it does here on the sine waves because it is slightly different suspension setup. So let's see what it does here. You did the other ones about this speed.
Yeah,
so
same speed.
It's interesting. This feels like it floats a little bit more.
A little bit more. It's still very composed.
Yeah.
In isolation, I think if you went out in this, you'd be really impressed.
Yeah.
But after jumping out of that, it's it definitely feels a bit springier, a bit less damped.
And not as much sound in here either.
No,
It's
not.
much quieter.
Yeah, that titanium back box, I assume it's just the back box on that one. It definitely makes a difference to sound. So,
right. Would you look at that?
Oh, is it time to embarrass myself out there again?
Yeah, skid band's wet again.
Okay, so let's do that. M drift analyzer. Yeah, see if I can beat my... Oh no, 5-star, you can't beat that, can you?
Well, I have my stuff in here from last time, so
uh-oh.
Let's see how that's going to go.
Do we reckon first gear or second gear?
Well, second.
Yeah,
First,
okay.
I mean, we're not here to...
We're not beginners.
To park the car.
Yeah, I find it just feels snappier. Oh, I'm chasing my tail now.
Oh, there's that understeer.
Yeah. Okay, well let's try again. It just doesn't.
There it is.
Okay, right. So I just need
better.
to set it down because it's a bit softer.
Yeah, once you get in a rhythm, that was intentional. Once you get into a rhythm, it then sorts itself out. But it seems like that shorter wheelbase, getting to the point of having rhythm is a
really
little harder.
Difficult. Yeah. I'm just going to try it first. First?
Seems to be much happier in that torque band in first.
Let's try and tighten it up a bit, get that angle.
There we go, it's feeling good.
Is that it? Yeah. Oh, 29.3, so almost...
That's not too bad.
Not bad. Not quite.
That's not too bad. There we go. Let me just get my breath.
Yes.
That was good. That was good.
It was all right. It definitely felt happier in first. I think in second it was bogging down. It didn't seem to have the torque and the pickup. You'll probably find that 6-speed, the second gear in this is maybe a little bit longer than the second gear in that.
It is, yeah.
So when you factor in that it's the same sort of weight, probably a bit heavier.
Yep.
So yeah, that car was definitely, it just had a firmer platform. I think when you're doing drifting, you want the car to be as settled as possible, don't you?
Yep.
And this thing, you can feel it moving around in the axles a bit. It's a bit softer.
Yep.
It feels a lot heavier and a lot less powerful. But again, in isolation, it would feel great. But jumping out of the CS, it really shows up. Well, let's finish this video with, I know it's not scientific because this is a manual, but let's
Joe's driving.
And I'm driving, Mr. Inconsistent. But let's see what it would do the 0-60 sprint in. And see if we can get, well, anywhere close to that. I think under 4 seconds would be good going.
Well, you know, we actually tested this exact car here a little while back, but it was wet, and we ended up getting about 5 and a bit seconds in the wet. Okay. So I'm genuinely curious to see how much better it performs in the dry with the manual transmission.
Yes.
Going to be in Sport Plus.
Yep.
You've got to have traction... Try traction in MDM. Okay. Because when you went to full throttle, it brought up launch control. So try that now, just in first. Just go. Yeah, that's it.
Well, there you go, guys. We've just learned something. I've had one of these for 3 months at home, a manual. Serious? I didn't know that it had launch control. Wow.
So it may not be any good, but
well, no. Well, let's try one with the launch control, and then we'll try one with everything off. See.
All right. So we are ready.
We're ready. And then you what? Just dump the clutch.
Well, yeah, you kind of finesse it a little bit.
Okay, right, here we go.
Yeah, that was good. That's not bad, 4.49.
Okay.
So it's at least a full second quicker than what we had when it was wet.
Yep. And so then what, and 3/10? What did we get out of that one? Oh, that was 3 point.
Yeah, that was 3.1. So it's like a 1.5 seconds slower.
Wow.
But I wonder how much of that is launch control, because the launch control in these isn't the best.
It's not.
I reckon let's try it without launch control now as well.
So everything off for this one. There we go. Analyze that.
And I reckon try on the black stuff as well.
Black stuff.
Just to be on the safe side. That's it. Hold on. All right. All right, ready.
Okay, here we go. All down to me, right?
Mm-hmm. 4.53. What was the other one? 4.49.
Yeah. It chirped a lot off the line, didn't it?
Yeah. So, launch control is actually not bad.
It's not bad. I think manually, if I went back and did it a few more times, you would nab off a bit of time.
Exactly right. If you stayed here all day doing it, you would find that sweet spot. But it is so hard to do in cars like this.
Yes.
Even if you then muck up the shift, if it just loses traction too much, it completely ruins your run.
Yep. Yep.
So the question is,
interesting.
Is that worth double the price of this?
Well, I think, like I've said a lot of time about the CS iterations or variations of the BMW M cars. It is if you can afford it.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, like the M5 competition versus the M5 CS, in the UK, the CS was nearly twice the price of the competition. Of course, it's not twice the car, it's almost the same ingredients, but just those changes make it so much better. And the same with that. I think the carbon bit, if you add up the price of parts alone, it's worth it money-wise. And when you drive it back to back with something like this, it just feels better, doesn't it? Everything, the suspension's better, the turning is better, the feel is better, the sound is better, it's faster. So it is worth twice the money if you can afford it.
And
but
if you can use it as well.
if you can use it, yes. Yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. That's very well us doing this sort of irresponsible driving out here on private land. But on the road, like I touched upon, is this going to be any less fun than that? Probably not. The manual box, you can't get one of those in manual. You get what you pay for, and that's no surprise because they're from the same brand, so you would hope that you would.
I would honestly wouldn't feel ashamed driving this though.
No.
Like, if that was the alternative, I'd go, okay, well, am I going to spend another £60,000 to get that? Look, if I was doing track days and that was my thing, yeah, maybe fair enough, or I wanted the best of the best. But if you want a fun car and you're not necessarily into the whole track driving thing, you can still take this to the track as well.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you could do a few minor adjustments to this. Set up the geometry slightly better, drop it a little bit because it sits a bit high. Also, that was on cups. There's some stuff that you could do to this to add performance. But yeah, ultimately that thing is a weapon out of the box. What an incredible car. I loved it before we did this, and I can appreciate and love it even more now. But yeah, no shame on this car. It's a brilliant bit of kit, and for the money, you can't argue with it.
Well, excellent. Well, it sounds like you're settled with this. I'm just going to go ahead and just take that away from the day today.
Yeah.
See ya.
See you later. Cheers, mate. Bye-bye.
I hope that was okay.
That's fine, mate. Yeah. The cameras are still running, so yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, thanks a lot to Paul and the car expert guys for making today happen. We've been quite productive today, but as always, you're up against it time-wise. But I think this has made for a decent video, and at least it's taught me something about both cars and made me appreciate that wonderful CS even more.
You learned to launch control.
I learned how to activate launch control in a manual BMW. I did not know it had that, so thanks for that, Paul. We'll end on that note. See you later, guys. Thanks, Paul.